In this chapter, we're going to introduce you to some of the basic ideas of statistics. In this lesson, we're going to show you how to draw and interpret stem and leaf plots.
Hi everybody. So in this chapter we're studying statistics, and one of the first things that we want to look at is a way of organizing your data here. Okay, because with statistics what we do here is we're going to go out and we're going to collect data, okay, and then we're going to do some calculations based on it so we can make some predictions, so we can look at our data and understand properties of the population that we're studying. But just raw data, okay, is a little bit confusing to look at and to pull information out of. It can be quite hard. So we want to organize it. And one of the things that we can do to organize it and put it in a stem and leaf plot. Okay? So that's all we're trying to do here is just organize the data. And really what we do in a stem and leaf plot is we're gonna take the ones digit, or depending on the data that we're given, basically we're going to take the last place value and make that the leaf in our numbers here, okay? So for example, in this little demonstration here, notice that most of my numbers, except for there's a couple here that are in the hundreds, but most of them are just two-digit numbers here. So there's a couple three-digit numbers, but most of them are two-digit numbers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ones digit off of each one of these things, and I'm going to call that the leaf in my stem and leaf plot. And then the other part of the number here I'm going to put in my stem. Now we're going to take this data right here. I'm going to show you what this looks like. So for example, the number 18, okay, the leaf is going to be the 8 and the stem is going to be the 1. So I split them up here. So right here, numbers with a stem of 1, okay, so 1, 8, 18. So there's also a 17 and there's also an 11 somewhere in this data here, okay? So there's my 17, there's my 11. So then basically what I do is I write the stem once, and then I write the corresponding leaves, okay, leaves I guess, with commas in between over here. So clearly right here, a stem of 0 and a leaf of 4, there's the number 4 is somewhere, and it's right there. The number 4 is somewhere in this data here. And then down here, we can see that when the stem is 10, we must be looking at a three-digit number here. So clearly there's 101 somewhere in there, and 108 is also somewhere in there, and I saw that just a moment ago. There we go. And then also there's 126, okay, right there. That's what this data means. Now typically what I would do is, as I'm putting this data into a stem and leaf plot, okay, I would just take all of the raw data, throw it into this plot here, but then what I would do is you would organize it. So you almost always, you're almost always going to do this twice here, and then all of a sudden we put these things in numeric order, okay? So 4, and then all of the two-digit numbers starting in 1, I would put them in order, 1, 7, 8. All the 20s, 22, 23, 23, 26, 27, 27, 27, right? I put them in order. And if they're repeated, I want that seen here, okay? Now the nice thing about what the stem and leaf plot does is it kind of gives me this sense of where all of the data is, okay? Right out here, this is where it trails off, right? I don't have very many that are up this high. I don't have very many that are that low. Most of them are in the 20s, okay? And the most of the data is between the 20s, 30s, and 40s there. So it's just a way of organizing the data so that you can look at it and get a really quick idea of how the data, okay, how the population is distributed. Anyway, let's take a look at a couple of examples here. Okay, so put the following data into a stem and leaf plot here. Okay, so we've got our stem and we've got our leaf. Okay, so when I take a quick look here, they're all three-digit numbers here, but I'm still going to just grab that ones digit at the end there because that's really what I want to see. So I've got 111. So I've got basically 11, 12, 14, 15, 14, 12. Like I'm just looking at the hundreds digit and the tens digit here, putting those together. Okay, so it looks like I can do this. I can get away with making my stems here 11, 12, 13, 14, and I think I can go up to 15, yeah. I don't have to go any further than that. So 111 would put this as a 1 there. So 111, 127, 148, so put an 8 down here, 153, and I should be basically knocking these off as I go. 141, so there's another 14. 120, put a 0 there, and the 0 is important, right? It takes a position here. It lets me know that that number 120 is there. So like don't just ignore it because it's got a 0 there. 121, 113 is going to go right there. That 3, 143. Sorry, put a 3 there. 144, and then 112. Now notice there was nothing here at the 13, 130, nothing there. That's okay. That little blank there also gives me some information. So now we're going to write this out again here, stem and leaf. So 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. But now I'm going to put them in order. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 7. Nothing for 13. For 14 would be 1, 3, 4, 8. And then down here at the 15 will be just the 3. This is what I want you to do. I want you to end up with a stem and leaf plot that's in order. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be in ascending order. It can be in descending order, okay? In fact, I think the next question here is asking for it in descending order. It doesn't really matter, but as long as it's in an order. At this point, you might sit there looking at this wondering, well, why does it matter? But actually it does matter. There are a few things that I could ask about that where if you just have the data in order, it just makes things so much easier to find the specific bits of information we're trying to get you to grab. Okay, this question asks us to organize the following to stem and leaf plot in descending order. So again, I'm going to look at my numbers here in just a quick glance. They look like they're all 2-digit numbers, okay? So I've got 50 for 80, 30, 60, 70, 50, 80, 30. So it looks like the lowest I get to here is 30, and the highest I get to is an 80 something. So stem, leaf, okay? And so now, when I first start this, I'm not going to be going through and putting these in any kind of order right now. In fact, particularly the descending order, I'm just going to worry about this right now. So I'm going to make this 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. I'm just going to put the data in. I will organize it in just a bit here. So 54, put the 4 there, 89, okay, 33, 65, 77, 52, whoops, sorry, no, 52, 65, another 65, 88, 39, 51, 76, oops, I put a comma there, 82, 61, and 59. And once again, notice that there's this gap here in the 40s, nothing there. That's okay. Now, stem, leaf. So I've got my data in there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the 8 up because I want this now in descending order. And in descending, I need these to go backwards as well. Actually, this is already set up nicely in that order. So it's going to be 9, 8, 2. 7 will come up, and I'll make this 7, 6. That one was also in descending order. Oh my goodness. So is the 6, 5, 5, 1. Okay, the 5 wasn't. The 5 wasn't. So 9, but it mostly was. 5, 9, 4, 2, 1. 4, I got nothing out of the 4. And then the 3, I got to put that in the right order. 3 and then comma 9, 3. So all of my data is there. All of my 2-digit numbers are there. And it's important that you don't inadvertently lose track of what's going on here. This right here, for example, is not the number 4. That represents the number 54. Okay? This is not a 7. It's the number 77. I'm just stripping the 1's digit off, okay, and then putting them here so I get a sense of the distribution of the numbers this way instead of just grouping them all together and looking at the data and trying to make something out of this list of data. Here I get a sense of where most of the data is located, okay? It's not perfect, but it's a good start, or it's a good step in the right direction.